Hey guys, welcome to No Filters, Just Freedom, the show for people who are ready to stop shrinking, start rising, and live with unapologetic audacity. My name is Jasmine, I'm a life coach, and I'm here to guide us all through this journey of bold, authentic living.
Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to episode 11, How to Ask for What You Want Without Sounding Like a Doormat or a Dictator, where we're going to turn people-pleasing into powerful communication. Today, we're cracking the code on how to ask for more at work, in love, and even with your barista without ghosting your self-respect or turning into a tyrant. It's all about calibrating your asks because not every request needs the same energy. Have you ever agonized over how to ask your partner to? We're going to get started and we're going to talk about all the reasons why we struggle as well as how to find ways to grow and get better. So we all suck at asking questions appropriately, but there are a few reasons why we struggle. One, if you've ever prefaced a request with "sorry to bother you, but," spoiler alert, you aren't a bother. Or if you said, it's fine when everything's not fine. Or you've passively aggressively hinted instead of asking outright. Like, wow, this couch is heavy, is not the same thing as, can you help me move this couch? Sometimes our fear of needing to get something done or not wanting to be a bother or anything like that can stop us from actually fighting for our needs and how to get what's necessary. The root of all of these bad asks is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of seeming needy, or my personal nemesis, fear of inconveniencing someone. Another newsflash, these aren't crimes, okay? It is not our fault for needing help, for being human, to want to be more, to needing to ask someone to maybe meet you wherever you are, to maybe help you get where you need to be, or to stop bothering you, or whatever you're asking for. None of this is a crime. It is human. So what's the magic formula to asking without being on the wrong side of the pendulum? Kindness plus clarity is the formula. Not too soft, not too aggressive, just right. Requests can come in 3 flavors, like coffee, but with way more emotional stakes. The first kind, you have low intensity asks, the iced coffee of it all. An example is, I'd love to leave by 8, but no worries if we run late. And you use this when flexibility brings harmony and the stakes are really low. Hey, I was thinking about going to hang out with friends. No, we haven't set up a specific time for dinner. Are you cool if I leave around this time? I have to do that with my husband all the time. We do it together. He's like, hey, the guys want to hang out. I go, is there a time? He goes, no, but I didn't see anything on the calendar. And I'm like, all right, go be free. There's nothing on the calendar. There's nothing bother us. Be flexible. Yeah, there's your ask. Here's my ask. Can you pick this up? Cool. You want to try to use that for 90% of things, not that big of a deal. Team no stress. This is where you learn to have comfort in how you're asking and what things look like rather than everything being on 10. So we have the low intensity ask. The second one is medium intensity. It's the latte of asking. An example is, I need to leave by 8. Let's plan around that. And you use it when it's important, but not life or death. And this should be the main way you ask questions, okay? This should be what you use when it's like, hey, this is a preference, and I'm going to assert myself in my preference. Hey, when you go to the grocery store, can you buy this? Well, what about this? No. Like, I asked for this brand, I asked for this item, I asked for this time, and I would like to be respected in it. No yelling, no screaming, but also not bending your will. Simply just saying, hey, am I able to have this? Are we able to work through this? This is what I would prefer, okay? So we like to sit in the medium. We want to sit in the medium intensity, okay? Not life or death, but it is important to me. And then finally, you have the high intensity ask, the espresso shot. Example is, I will not stay past 8. This isn't up for debate. You use this when your boundaries are non-negotiable, your safety, your values, your hard limits, okay? This is where you tell yourself that you refuse to compromise. This is where you tell yourself that it's make or break. this is the hill I'm willing to die on, okay? I will not compromise what I believe about myself. I will not put myself in an unhealthy situation. This is what time this needs to happen. Now, the struggle in this is where we can get the most fear. This is the ask that tends to be the hardest for us because there's a lot of pressure. There are a lot of stakes that come with this because you are drawing a line in the sand. This can and sometimes will come across as an ultimatum. Give me what I want or we can't have anything at all. That is scary. That is overwhelming. That is stressful. But that doesn't mean it's not the right or wrong thing to do. It just means that it can be scary, but we can't let our fears of standing up for ourselves and what we believe in be the answer. So if you're always on low, you're going to feel unheard. If you're always on high, you'll always sound like a drill sergeant. Balance is key. This means if you don't want to sound like a doormat, stay away from, only if it's not too much trouble. Maybe you don't want these things. You don't want to sound like that because you will get run over. If you don't want to sound like a dictator, stay away from, you need to do this for me by Friday. Whoa. Everyone doesn't need to do everything. It's not the end of the world. Let's reel it back. The perfect ask is, I'd really appreciate your help with blank by this time. Does that work for you? Drop the sorry and start with thank you or thanks for considering this. It's 100 times more powerful, okay? We want to make sure that we're asking things in ways that we can be seen, we can be heard, we can be validated, and we actually still get what we want. Because that's what you're asked. That's the whole point of the ask, is have a request and then to receive what you are requesting. But sometimes we never get to the actual thing we're asking for because we're too busy being hesitant on the delivery and how to do it. So we're going to just cut all that out. That way we can actually get to the nitty-gritty, which is give me what I'm asking for. So there is an art to saying no. Saying no is just asking for your own needs. And the same rules can apply, okay? So a low intensity is not this time, but maybe another. For when you're kind of like, I don't really feel like going out tonight. I just don't. I don't really have a reason. I'm just kind of tired and I just don't feel like going. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see you. That doesn't mean I'm never hanging out with you. It just means currently I'm not really in the mood, which is cool. So, that's when you're like, you give them another opportunity. Maybe next time, maybe another moment, maybe another night. Hey, let me recharge tonight and I'm gonna hit you back another day. Okay. I love the low intensity no. Okay. Because again, it is putting a boundary on, most of the time your low intensity no is putting a boundary on what's good for your mental health and like recharging. Like maybe I'm super tired. Maybe, I can't. If I'm having a really long day with my daughter and my husband's on shift, so I'm by myself and I've had to clean the house and do the dog and I went grocery shopping and someone's like, hey, can we talk or hang out tonight? I might have to give a low intensity no. I'm sorry. It has been a long day. It has been stressful. I have been tired. No, I just don't have it for you. The answer is no. But I'm not saying no forever. So can we make a plan to do this on a different night? My favorite thing about low intensity no's is that when you're on the same brainwave with other people and you and your friends are vibing, you can have low intensity no's as a full conversation with each other to get to where everyone needs to be. I have two friends. We try to all hang out, at least once a month, once every other month, we try to reconnect, if we're texting all the time, but sometimes based on our life, busy schedules, jobs, everybody's kind of in a different place. It takes us a minute to find a date and time that we can actually see each other in person. And it's so funny because we will all agree that we need to hang out. Everybody's agreeing, we're gonna hang out, we're gonna do it this month. We wanna try to do it within the next 2 weeks, right? So then we start throwing out dates and times. And when I tell you, it is the funniest no conversations that you could ever see. It is like three lawyers trying to come together and make a contract work and hey, I'm gonna give this and you could give that, because I'll be like, oh, I'm free on these days, and others like, I think I can make that work, and others like, I've got a lot happening, can we pick another date? It's like, sure, okay, to pick this date. And I'm like, do you want to see me and the kid or just me? because I can't really make that date work because I don't have a babysitter for Eliza and Mac's not home and da 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 da. And they're like, okay, it is so funny. It might take us 3 days to pick a date, but nobody is feeling judged. Nobody is feeling overwhelmed. It's a very chill, relaxing. I'm kind of setting a boundary here and I'm just kind of like, I'm not really in the mood to suffer for it. This is how we get it done. A low intensity ask, I love, okay? Because now I don't have to feel guilty and I don't have to feel like I'm being overrun and I don't have to feel any sort of bad way about any of it, okay? Like, it's not that deep. I'm not really in the mood, but I can still say no if I want to, okay? Then you have the medium intensity, no. You say, I can't do that, but here's what I can do. It's for when you need to redirect some things, okay? It's when you can feel somebody pushing. Like if you say no and someone's kind of trying to push up against that boundary, they might not be pushing forcefully, but you can tell they didn't really listen the first time, or they thought it was a suggestion and not like an actual no. This is when you use medium intensity. Hey, I said that I'm unavailable, but I do have these time slots available, you know? Think about it like when you call a doctor's office, okay? And you're trying to get an appointment. And you're like, hey, do you have anything on this date? And they go, no, we can't see you on this date, but we do have availabilities here, 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 and here, and here. That is the medium ask, okay? I can't do this right now. I am unavailable for you right now. But what I can do is give you this, and this. That is probably the most confident no that you can give. That's probably the healthiest no that you can give. It is not just redirecting, but it is compromise and balance. Okay? I am not willing to give up what I already have planned or what I'm already doing or what I already have going on in my life. That being said, I'm not shutting you out. So here I go, able to give this option when this option you're asking for doesn't exist. Medium intensity is a really important skill to have. And then you have the high intensity. That's when someone is truly trying to break down your boundary. When someone is trying to be like, screw you, I'm going to get what I want. That's when you're like, no, this is not open for discussion. This is when it's like oh, hell no. Okay, that's what we're working with here. We're working with a situation where it's like, over my dead body, will I say yes to this? And sometimes you don't have to do it all the time. It's not, if anything, you want to try not to do it that often, because this is a kind of no that sets a tone and a precedent for things. But also, it's really important to know your intensity levels, because you want your no to mean no and your yes to mean yes. And so if you're not a person that is this harsh, the high intensity no is a really important skill, because people are going to be like, man, like they never say no. Man, this never been this big of a deal before. It's like, yeah, that's why you need to know that this is a big deal. Okay, this is a big deal because I'm not going to let you run over me. I'm not going to make you convince me that what I have decided to be true is true. I'm not going to allow you to keep treating me any kind of way because you are looking for something, you want something, whatever it is. I'm putting my foot down. This is my standard. You can't convince me otherwise. Take it or leave it. That is the high intensity. And you know what? Sometimes with high intensity anything, you have to raise your voice a little bit. Maybe you gotta put some bass in it, get a little bit more direct. You know, sometimes it just takes a little bit more force, a little bit more effort, but the point is still the same. My no means no. So if you're someone who feels guilty after your answer, try, I'm saying no because my plate is full, not because you don't matter. Boom. You could be kind and clear. Okay? No one is saying that you have to be mean when you say these things. Nobody is saying that you have to be callous and cruel. Okay? But you do need to stand firm. No's are a great opportunity to try out the concept of you can catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Okay? I can get you to respect me and my no, or respect me and my boundaries, because I was really gentle about them. But that doesn't mean I wasn't clear and firm and real. I can just be nice. But nice people say no all the time. And that's just kind of the reality of that. But we can often be confused in trying to learn this new skill on how to choose the appropriate intensity level. Okay, because that's a big question. You say, okay, I have all these skills, I can give my boundaries. I've got low, medium, and high, but when do I use them? When am I like 100% sure? When I'm in the moment, when I'm in the throes and I don't have a lot of time to think about it, when do I use these skills? So first thing you want to do is you want to ask yourself, what is the cost? Will staying late for something actually ruin your night, or are you just annoyed? Okay. If I want to leave by 8, I would prefer to leave by 8. Is leaving by 8 costing me something else, or I'm just tired and ready to go? That's when you can decide whether or not I'm using a low, medium, or high. What is the point of this? Why am I? Ask yourself, what's the cost of the ask? Okay. The second thing you want to ask yourself is, what is the relationship? Okay. Your boss and your coworker gets very different energy than your best friend. Okay. And my best friends get different energy than my partner, who also get different energy than my family. Okay. So you have to not just ask yourself, what's the cost of this? Is it, going to cost me some sleep, or is it going to cost me a real problem with my timing? But then who am I talking to? Because some people you can be more gentle. Some people, like if it's your boss, you can, find a respectful way so you don't lose your job if you really need to keep it. But you can look at a situation and go, look, I would love to help. I would love to do more, but I really, really can't because of X, Y, and Z. Dealing with your boss is a great opportunity to use the medium ask and the medium no. Of like, hey, I'm unavailable for this, but this is what I can do. Hey, I need this done by this point. Can I get help in it, or is this appropriate? You know what I'm saying? Like, you use that. Sometimes for me and my scenarios, I have to use a little bit more force and a little bit more high intensity when I'm dealing with my family, because I know I can't be the only one, but sometimes we have family members that like to run us over a little bit and think that those boundaries that you have set in your life are for everyone else, but not for us. Absolutely not. My boundaries are my boundaries, and they're for everybody that's around me. It's for the entire world. I even have boundaries with my husband. I know that's crazy, okay? But I have boundaries. And so sometimes I have to use a little bit higher of an intensity, okay? And I can't use that same intensity with my husband and my daughter. It's just not how that works. I just don't have an opportunity to be mean or be rude, or, what's the cost of this, just because I might be annoyed, or because, I want to say no, or my ask. My 2-year-old cannot know the difference between a low, medium, and high intensity no or an ask. Okay. She just has no concept. So a lot of what I do is low intensity because that's all she's got. And that's okay. And when I'm dealing with my husband, a lot of it is a low and medium intensity because I need him to know that everything that I do and I say is out of love and support. Everything can't be on 10, because if everything's on 10, he's never going to take me seriously. And it's the same way around. He can't be extreme and saying a lot and doing a lot just because we won't ever take each other seriously. So you want to make sure that you know the cost and the relationship you're making this work with. The third and final thing you want to ask is, what is the precedent? Okay. If you're always caving in on low, will people assume that everything is always flexible? Like if you never mean your no, will anybody ever actually take you seriously? That is a dangerous trap that so many of us fall into, of like, oh, I said no, but then they kind of, kept pushing. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I can rearrange. No. If this is a firm boundary for you, if you've looked at the cost, you know what the relationship is, and if the answer is still no, then stand firm in that. Don't let your fear overtake you, and just say, no, this is my limit. Okay, this is where you're trying to stop yourself from being a doormat. You want people to take you seriously, but in the same vein, okay, you can't always be mean. No, the answer is always no. I'm not budging at all, because then that makes you cruel and callous, and people don't want to have a relationship with people like that. I still want to love people. I still want to have a relationship with people, and I still want people to feel confident and comfortable asking me for things and me asking in the opposite direction, which means I can't be so prickly and cruel and all the time. I actually have to put in effort. This is why the medium okay, is the right way to go. It's the magic place. It's like the three little bears, Goldilocks and the three bears, where it's like, oh, that's too big, that's too small, but this one was just right. Like, we want to stick with the medium because it works so often, okay? It is a good standard catch-all, okay? So what is this going to cost me? What is the relationship? And what is the precedent? Those are three things you want to ask yourself when you decide, what intensity am I using for my questions and for my no? So here's some practice scenarios. Let's say you have to go to your boss and you have to ask for a raise, okay? What we don't want to say is, I just feel like I deserve more, ... No, we really don't want to say that, okay? But what we can say is, based on these accomplishments, I'd like to discuss adjusting my salary to this. When's a good time to talk? I know that seems kind of a mouthful. I know, depending on how you say it, it might come off as it might sound manipulative to other people. But sometimes things sound manipulative because people have never seen that level of directness and clarity. That is not manipulative. That is a, hey, I notice these things. I believe that I, am worth more. I want to have a discussion. You are the one in charge, so I'd love to come to the table and have a discussion about how I think maybe the scenario can change. Real simple. You gave clear and concise information. You gave a basic level plead for your case, and you left the floor to them to decide when and how we have a conversation. Okay, that is a great way of doing things. Now, another way is when you have to set boundaries with people and friends. Okay, what you don't want to keep doing is saying things like, I guess I can cancel my plans again. No, this is how you're the doormat. This is how you're setting bad precedent. Like, no, you're not going to keep caving in for other people. So what you can say, again, the medium intensity is, I can't do this, but I'd love to help with this other thing. Like, you give them another alternative. Hey, I'm not turning you down because of you. I simply just don't have the time and energy for this situation. Not a bad thing, not being rude, not being cruel, not being callous. Just simply, I don't have it, just that simple. Lastly, and one of the most difficult, is when you're dealing with the people that you love. When you're dealing in romantic spheres, okay? You do not want to ever look at your romantic partner and say, you don't ever plan dates. I'm unhappy because you never think about me and you never plan dates for us together and you just don't care about me. We are not saying that. We are not saying that. Now, it could be true that you feel like, a lot of things haven't been going and you feel like you're constantly the one that has to put in effort. That may be true, but we're not going to say you never do this. What you can say is, I'd feel so loved if we could take turns planning a special night. Could we try that? It's a beautiful way of saying, this makes me feel good, and right now I'm not sure we're doing it, so can we try it? That you're not accusing them of anything. You've kept it an equal opportunity. Hey, I want to put in work as much as you put in work. It's a very sensitive way of still asking to get what you want. Because at the end of the day, when you love somebody, the stakes are higher. And you want to make sure that your energy matches your intensity. Okay? So we're just going to be like, can we try these things? It can be very encouraging. It can be really uplifting. And it also can disarm people because they're prepared. They have their shields up thinking this is going to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be at all. And it's a great way for you to create that atmosphere even when other people don't know how to create that atmosphere. But what do you do when they don't listen? You've done all the work, you've done all the asks, you've asked all of the 3 questions, you've taken the time, the energy, you have worked really, really hard on this. What do you do when they don't listen? If people are ignoring your medium or they're pushing back on your high, you can, 1, repeat. It's going to sound like a broken record, but you can keep doing it calmer, okay? I understand you. I hear you. I understand why you're saying what you're saying. I hear what you're saying to me. I'm sorry, but this is my boundary. I'm just going to keep repeating it because what's not going to happen is you cannot convince me differently. You cannot change my mind for something different. Not happening, okay? The second thing you can do is escalate. For example, if it started off as a low intensity and they're trying to run you over, you can escalate to a medium. And then if they're still not listening to the medium because they keep trying to get their way, because you escalate when somebody's not compromising. Okay, you're escalating because they have just decided that what they want and what they need and what they're asking for is more important than anything you say. So you go from low, then to medium, and then when you realize they're completely disrespecting that too, then you go to high. Look, I was willing to give, I was willing to compromise, I was willing to make these things happen. Not anymore. Never again. I tried, you're not listening, so now the answer is absolutely not. We could have been somewhere better, but we're not. And you can repeat that and you can escalate and then you can repeat again. And lastly, then you're going to act on what you're saying. Okay? You're going to leave. You're going to hang up the phone. You're going to enforce the consequences. Okay? If someone says, look, this is what I need, and if you don't listen to me, then I'm going to do this, then then uphold the consequences, okay? Didn't actually do what you say you're gonna do. There were a bunch of other issues with this scenario, but a small portion of me upholding my boundaries is that I had some friends at that point that were completely disrespecting a wish that I had to want to go see this movie. They were 100% not taking me seriously. And I was like, I'm going to go see this movie. And if I can't go see this movie, then I'm going to have a problem, not only with everybody, but it's going to make me question our relationship, because this is not a difficult ask. It is the only thing that I've wanted to do. And I'm very firm about it. They were like, oh yeah, no, it shouldn't be a problem. Da, 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 da. And then fast forward and I don't get to do what I want to do. And they disrespect it and they take up my time and I miss my movie. And I kid you not, it was the end of our friendship. Now, there were some other things that were happening on that entire trip, but to other people, it came across like I was being really extreme. And it came across like, oh, Jasmine, you were making this bigger than it needed to be. Absolutely not. This wasn't about the movie. This was about the fact that I was very calm and clear and collected with my boundary, and you actively chose to ignore it and not pay attention to it because you didn't think it was important enough for you. I don't have people like that in my life. I leave. I don't want to do this anymore. My husband is amazing at this when we're frustrated or having arguments or something like that. And I will get really intense. I am an emotional, I could start yelling. I could be really aggressive in my communication. What I'm saying might not be aggressive, but how I'm saying it can be incredibly aggressive. And he will come in and he will just be like, look, if you're going to keep acting like this, then this conversation is over and we'll have to come back to it when you're calmer. Oh, so you're just trying to walk away? I will go off, okay? And he's just looking at me like, I'm telling you, babe, if you don't calm down, we're gonna have a problem. And then if I push that boundary, he will shut down. He has done it. He will continue doing it. I see no reason for him to stop or why he would try to stop. He will just not. He'll walk out of the room. He'll stop talking. He will go back to whatever he is doing and completely ignore me. He's done with the conversation. He told me what would happen if I kept being out of control. He told me that he didn't like how I was speaking to him or the tone of voice that I was using. And when I kept going, he stopped. He enforced the boundaries. Sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to repeat, you have to escalate, and then you have to ask. And a great example of this, especially when you're hanging out with your friends or you're doing other stuff. Let's say you are at work and you're hanging out with coworkers after work and you're getting a drink, and they're like, come on, just one more drink. And you can be like, I said no, I'm heading out. You can say it nicely. You can do, I no, and they go, oh, are you sure? And you grab your coat and you leave. It's so simple, but you just grab your coat and you just leave. It can be really calming. It can actually feel really good and empowering. Okay. I told you what was up. I gave you the warning. I gave you the heads up. It didn't just come out of nowhere. And, love y'all, mean it. I'm out. That is what you do when someone isn't trying to listen to you, when someone's not respecting who you are. So remember, boundaries aren't about controlling other people. They're about honoring yourself. Okay? When you ask for something, you're supporting yourself. When you say no, you're protecting yourself. You're not controlling what other people do and can't do, okay? Because we just don't have any power over that. But what we can do is protect the space that we're in and put ourselves in the healthiest position to make something work, okay? That is what we do have control over. So asking for things isn't pushy, it's generous. It gives people the chance to show up for you. You don't have to choose between being liked and heard. Start small. I'd actually prefer the window seat, okay? The world won't end, I promise. So try to notice where you're over or under asking and then recalibrate. Okay. I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to see your information if you have any questions, or I'd love to just have a conversation with you guys. You can reach out to me on Instagram at breathe_easy_coaching, or you can find me on TikTok at lifecoach_Jasmine. And I would just love to hear your wins and the new ways that you're finding out how to ask appropriately and say no. Now go forth, ask boldly, and never apologize for having needs. Stop whispering when you deserve a mic.
Remember, you don't need permission to be great. And this is your call to rise, to reclaim your power, and to step boldly into the life you were meant to live. I believe extraordinary potential lives in all of us. The dreams we've tucked away, the voice that was softened, and the fire that's been waiting to burn bright. This journey isn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about shattering expectations and embracing your truest, most unapologetic self. No more shrinking or waiting for permission. The world needs your brilliance, your resilience, and your unique light. It's time to stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start declaring, "I am more than enough." Your next chapter begins now. Let's write it with courage, audacity, and unshakable belief in who you are. The unstoppable person isn't born, they're awakened. And that person is you. Now go start your revolution. This world needs your unshaken light today.